Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It's Harry from Spurs TV back with my first match reaction video of the new season. So it's going to be an early one this time because we're going to talk about the Super Cup game. I have a lot of thoughts on it. So first of all, as usual, let's go through the starting lineup. So Frank went with a 5-3-2, 3-5-2, whatever you want to call the variation of it. And Vicario stayed in goal as per last season. Romero, Danso, and Van de Ven were the centre halves, and we had Spence on the left because, as we all know, Adogi's out, and Porro on the right. The midfield consisted of Sarr, who was probably the higher of the three, Paulinho, and Bentancur. And we start with Kudus, kind of like a second striker slash free role behind Richarlison. Now, as crazy as it seems, Spurs went 2-0 up against PSG in the Super Cup. And we really, really deserved it. I think Richarlison was brilliant. Kudus kind of showed why we bought him. He was a constant threat, especially in the first half. Bentancur, I know he wasn't one of our new signings, but I thought he was immense again. And I still stand by what I said last season. I think Bentancur was probably our best player. And I think for me, he was one of the people I would have considered for the captaincy. I know Romero had a decent game and Van de Ven had a decent game despite his penalty miss later on, obviously after we drew 2-2. But I'm talking about how well the players played first before I get into the negatives. And the structure was there, which is great to see. So there's what's positive to take from it. Good structure, good team selection, I thought. And the tactics were brilliant. Most set pieces we can tend to deal with. But what changed the game? And I mean, we are playing, bear in mind, when I could talk about this, the best team in the world, or they didn't win the Club World Cup, but the best team in Europe at the very least. And their subs were the difference compared to our subs. We took off Kudus and we brought on Tel, who I'll stand by what I say from now. It might even bite me ass later on, but we should not have signed him. I think he's useless, and it kind of showed because the drop-off in quality between Kudus and Tel was astronomical. Whilst Kudus could hold the ball up, run with it, drive with it, Tel it's like he can't control football. Also gave away a really stupid free kick. And obviously, Paulinho, who was another signing, and maybe his work was kind of under the radar tonight. I thought he kind of gave Bentancur more of a freedom to go up and down the pitch, which is why I kind of wanted them together anyway in this sort of game. And in most games, I think the bigger game next season will be Paulinho with Bentancur. And Gray comes on. And I don't remember him even doing anything. And you can see that the midfield battle was getting lost. PSG bring on Ramos, who scored his goal, and Fabian Ruiz for Doué. And Kvaratskhelia had to come off as well. But you can see the difference in quality. But it's not just that. It's just that we just couldn't hold on. We didn't have it in us, and we lost the outlet what we had with Kudus. And I know Slanky came on for Richarlison. Richarlison probably was, again, one of his best games in the Spurs shirt. I thought his hold-up play was incredible. But Slanky, I don't know how fit he really is. And I don't know whether Frank was just saving him for the weekend, or is that why he was on the bench? Because he didn't look completely fit when he came on. But yeah, you can see the drop-off in quality between, like I said, essentially the senior players, like I say younger players, but Tel's kind of a first team already. And this is why we say, Savino and Eze are kind of musts really, because say, for example, you took off Kudus and you brought on Eze or Savino, there is no drop. There might be a bit of a drop-off, but they're basically comparable in quality, right, those three players. And plus you can also change the system, because for me, Odobert, Tel, Gray, I know the young players, but I just not seen anything from them to suggest they're going to be top players. And I'd rather have Savino and Eze come off the bench or starting or in the lineup or whatever as replacements. And you can see just the difference in quality. I mean, you saw our bench, it had someone called Byfield on it, and we had two goalkeepers. So clearly there's issues there, right? And Ben Davies is still there for another year. It's the 11th year at Tottenham. It's incredible, really. So, there are some positives. Like I said, the structure was really good. The team selection I thought was great. And maybe going forward, we will stick with a 5-3-2 in in like these big games, especially in Europe, because I know we didn't win the game, we drew 2-2, but we did have a lot of joy with it, and maybe with some extra quality, which fingers crossed the club buy someone, at least 1 or 2 more players really, then we could actually, seen that through. But obviously, it was disappointing to miss the penalty, and I'll go on about Tell again, but his penalty was just embarrassing. And yeah, I guess some people see it as a game we bottled, and we did. Technically speaking, we did bottle it. We were 2-0 up. But there are positives to take from it. And even if we won the game, the Super Cup, I wouldn't be jumping in joy and going mental that we won the Super Cup, because it's still, I guess, a trophy, but it's like a one-off game, like, a Community Shield, but just in European-wise. That's how I see it. And I'm not saying to disrespect it, I'm just saying I just don't see it as like as big as winning a Europa League or a Champions League, or even like an FA Cup, or even to some extent the Carabao. This is not a game where competition, where you have to win like loads and loads and loads of games to get to that point. This is like, one winner of one competition plays another winner another competition, like the Community Shield, where you've got the winner of the FA Cup versus the winner of the Premier League. And big ups to Palace, obviously, for winning Community Shield, but this is not do or die for Frank, for me. I know what positives, it's just as clear to see that the difference is the quality and the drop-off in the squad, and we need to go outside some players, Mr. Levy. And come on, you Spurs.